Welcome to Intuitive Astrology with Molly McCord. Thank you so much for joining me today. As every Wednesday, we take a look at the astrological energies that are working with us right now and discuss how we can make the most of this time period, of this cycle, and what is coming up for our higher awareness and growth. Today we're looking at the astrological energies from August 18th until the 25th, where we will enter Virgo season, and we also have a very dynamic Aquarius full moon at 29 degrees. That's happening on August 22nd, and we're also feeling the shifts in energy as Uranus in Taurus stations retrograde at 14 degrees 48 minutes on August 19th at 9:40 p.m. So we have some very powerful energies helping us move forward. There's a lot unfolding over the next week that is dynamic, that accelerates, that moves us into new potentials, new options, new pathways. There is a lot of yes energy happening here, and you could feel yourself ready to say yes. Yes to an opportunity or an invitation. Yes to something new that you want, that you're ready for. There is a lot of forward movement here, and this is exciting and also quite welcomed because we know that there are all these ebbs and flows of the energies, and some weeks are quieter or slower. Sometimes it can feel like we're backpedaling. But this is a time of forward movement, saying yes, being very clear about what you want, and being very honest with yourself around what you no longer want, what no longer resonates. So we have a lot to talk about in this week's show. Thank you so much for joining me, because as always, even though this is a general understanding of the energies, I hope that there's at least a message or two that resonates with you and where you're at on your path. So what we have right now is a sense of shifting into a higher gear, an acceleration. You could feel this as shifting into a new timeline or a new direction. There can be a lot of changes happening right now, and they feel celebratory. This energy feels positive. It feels uplifting. It feels like you're ready. There's something you're ready for, and now the universe is bringing it around or bringing it forward. It's saying, this is what you wanted, here you go. Or even consider this as another option or possibility. Maybe something you didn't see or could believe would transpire. Now it's coming through and now it's showing up. So the energies here are asking us to really stay in the higher vibrations of understanding what matters to us, what has value in our daily lives, and what we want to put energy towards now. Uranus is stationing retrograde in Taurus, and Uranus is the energy of breakthroughs, unexpected developments. It can be chaos, it can be things happening out of the blue, lightning striking. It's a fast-moving energy. And as it stations retrograde in Taurus, the energy tends to increase. The vibration gets a little bit louder, and it's a bit like a shaking energy, similar to an earthquake, where the walls shake, the shelves move, things fall. It's like that shaking energy is happening. And what it's showing you is what you're ready to shake off, what you're ready to say, I'm done, I'm good, thank you very much, goodbye. It has a sense of, I'm really understanding more of what my core values are. Because that Taurus energy connects us to what has meaning, what matters to us, where we find internal stability. And with Uranus in Taurus, we're really getting rid of what has expired, what has stayed too long, what has overstayed its welcome, perhaps. There could be understandings here that something in your energy is taking up too much space and it feels too heavy, it no longer resonates, you don't want it around. So this energy, because it's in Taurus, which is an earth sign, it's asking us to look at where our energy is going in the physical world, what we're directing attention and energy to. This includes money and finances, You could have new understandings around where your money's going. Is it worth the investment? Is it worth the payoff? Are you getting what you want from this? You can make some financial changes now. You could understand more of what you want to keep, what you want to possess, and also what you're ready to let go of. So there's change here. It's dynamic change. It's fast-moving change. It's a sense of this is no longer important to me. I'm going to open up and clear space for what is important. So the energies are moving in our physical world, in terms of what we keep in our homes, what we keep on our desks, what we think is important. We're having new understandings of what that's about, and we're making changes. Now, these could be changes that you've been aware of, or changes that come to you in a flash where you suddenly have an understanding that I don't want this anymore. I really don't need this anymore. And it could even surprise you. You could even be a little bit shocked at the revelations. Now, this energy is important because it also pertains to the second Aquarius full moon that we're having on August 22nd. It is at 29 degrees of Aquarius. It is the second Aquarius full moon, and it is conjunct Jupiter retrograde at 26 degrees. This Aquarius energy is ruled by Uranus. It's connected to that sudden understanding, that higher viewpoint. And because it's the second Aquarius full moon, there's already been something that's been coming up to your awareness. Now, this could apply to any area of your life or various levels of your consciousness, but I feel that this has deeper understandings around pivotal soul lessons. I feel like this revelations and understandings that are coming up and are showing you something is putting you on this new trajectory. And I feel this Aquarius energy is similar to going higher and getting some drone footage, like drone aerial viewpoint of your life, of your journey, of what you've been moving through. And this drone perspective is showing you something you didn't see before that pertains to your soul growth, your spiritual growth, karmic lessons, karmic patterns, things that have been on a loop, these themes in your life that maybe you didn't know how to shift or change. It feels like there's something significant here that's changing at a very deep level of your being because you've gone higher and observed it through that drone vantage point, and you're able to see something about yourself, your energy, your life, your choices that opens you up to the next path, the next direction to follow. So this full moon is about understanding something significant for yourself that you didn't see before. It wasn't time. Because that moon in Aquarius is working with Jupiter, it has growth, learning, wisdom with it. There's an upliftment here. It's a sense of graduation. It's a completion, and it's setting yourself free. We're being liberated. There's something that is liberating you from a pattern, a theme, a cycle, and you could just have that sense of, I'm done. I'm complete with this. I've got it. I get it. It's clearer now. It's almost like this has been crystallized. And it could be that you've been feeling pieces of it coming in, pieces of it coming through, but something about this week, and as we move into Virgo season, there's a lot more clarity. There's a lot more understanding of what you've been perhaps even struggling with. Now, we've had a lot of Aquarius energy throughout 2021, especially when you look back in February when we had a stellium of planets in Aquarius and a very dynamic Aquarius new moon. We have Saturn in Aquarius, we've had Jupiter in Aquarius off and on, and now we're having 2 Aquarius full moons. And Aquarius is about the higher mind, the higher knowledge. It connects us to cosmic intelligence and universal wisdom. So that's why it can relate to that sense of the drone aerial view where you're going higher above the human vantage points. And with a drone, you can go above the mountains, you can go much higher than anything on Earth, and you're seeing something that's giving you a yes, giving you a graduation and a celebration because you've stepped into higher wisdom that was waiting for you. And so when we couple this with the dynamic Uranus energies, there is something that could be a game changer for you. And I see it as shattering, like glass shattering. And I don't mean this in a violent or destructive manner, but something that breaks suddenly and it's no longer in one form and it becomes scattered about in multiple pieces. But when that glass breaks, the energy breaks. The energy is released. You could think of it too as cracking an egg, where you crack the egg and the shell shatters, but then the yolk comes out and something else shows up because of the crack. So there's this shattering of an energy. There's a completion of it. It's done. And now you move into a new understanding of yourself. I do feel that this relates to karmic patterns and situations, whether that is only in your own personal awareness or things that are playing out in your life or in the collective. There are karmic energies that are abruptly ending, that are going to just be over, be complete. And that energy then becomes much clearer. So there's this clearing away, and that is the graduation as well. So this is a time to be very self-honoring, to have a sense of your own integrity, your own personal respect, to know what matters to you, what you want, and that the endings, the completions, where you're graduating and moving forward is important in your soul growth and is important in understanding from this higher vantage point. Now, the other thing about this energy is that it does relate to the Leo solar eclipse that we had in August 2017. It happened on August 21st, and it was at 29 degrees of Leo. And this was also called the Great American Eclipse because it went from Portland, Oregon, all the way to South Carolina, and it eclipsed the United States, where you could see it. We could view it at that time. So what we have here is looking at what you have learned and understood over the past 4 years that has helped you at a very deep soul level, where there were things you've been working through and maybe you were really in it and doing the work and doing the healing, and there was a lot coming up. It was very intense. Now, with this Aquarius full moon at 29 degrees of Aquarius, exactly opposite that eclipse point, that's where you're getting this higher knowledge and understanding, where you're seeing the patterns or themes. Maybe you've moved a lot of energies in certain areas of your life, and you're understanding more of what you've been moving through that, again, has been karmic, intense, personal, deep. These could be energies related to matters of the heart, which is Leo. And I feel like now you're connecting to the heart of the cosmos and how the heartbeat and the pulse of life is much bigger than an imprint you were working with or holding within you. So again, this graduation energy is very buoyant. It's very supportive. With this Jupiter in Aquarius energy, we're seeing more, we're understanding more. There's a sense of, wow, I'm realizing some big things here, and I'm understanding more of what's possible for me in my life now. And then another part of the equation, just to pull into the mix here, is that as we move through the months ahead, we're going to have our next eclipse on November 19th at 27 degrees of Taurus. This is a lunar eclipse. At 27 degrees of Taurus, it is the first eclipse in Taurus for about 9 years, and it's going to also work with this degree point here of the Aquarius full moon at 29 degrees. So I feel like there is this acceleration into the new, where we're moving into an understanding of what our new values are and what the next chapter of our life looks like as we continue to create it, as we continue to step into those values. And we're ready for more of that energy in our physical world. So I feel like this is a very interesting cycle here that is accelerating us. It's moving us ahead, and we're stepping into new potentials and new possibilities as we leave behind what we've outgrown. And that could be one way to understand what you're moving through, is that if you're going through big changes or big decisions, if there's things that you're trying to weigh and move through, when you see it as a graduation, you're able to perhaps let go of where you've been. You're able to understand what you learned there, what was valuable, what was beneficial, and you can let it go with gratitude for what it provided. You can let it go with that higher understanding of what you were meant to experience there, and now you're moving on to the next phase and the next experience. So there is a letting go here, but because it feels celebratory, it also feels like there could be a sense of you're really ready. That maybe you've been contemplating it for a while, you've been understanding it, you've been doing maybe some of the emotional processing, but now there's a lot of yes energy here. Over the next week, we also have Mercury and Mars still traveling together in Virgo, and they have an exact conjunction occurring between 11 to 12 degrees of Virgo. And when there's a conjunction here between Mars and Mercury, Mars is more dominant. Mars is the older brother, Mercury is the younger brother, and Mars gets his way because he is more action-oriented. Now, they're both strong in Virgo, so they work well together here, but you do want to be aware of your body. You want to be aware of how you're moving and what you're saying, because this energy that we're in is very fast moving. There are potentials for injuries. There are potentials for things to break or to move too fast and have an accident, which of course we don't want. So be very mindful of what you're doing, what you're saying, what you're choosing. That mindfulness is a part of the Virgo energy, where you're in touch and you have harmony between the mind and the body. And that is one of the gifts of Virgo, which is the 6th sign of the zodiac. It is the 2nd earth sign, and it is a mutable sign. So it's about change and adaptability. What's the better solution? What's the better option here? What can we improve? What can we look at from a new vantage point? Now, Mercury in Virgo is really good at finding the details and the specifics. It can find what others overlook. It can find the errors, look at what needs to be corrected. That Mercury in Virgo is very reasonable and logical, and it will just say, no, that won't work, or I don't think that's a good idea. This is a better option. So with these Virgo energies, you're maybe going to find what is not okay, what is not satisfying, what doesn't work, what has problems, but you're meant to move the energy ahead, move it forward and say, oh, so let's try this instead. Let's take a look at this information or this possibility. What is the new here that we can explore? And that is a strength through the mutable energies, is that you have a sense of adaptability and you're aware of new potentials. So keep in mind that Virgo's season is supporting us in grounding these energies, in saying, okay, a part of this is done. A part of my experience is over, or I've really learned some big things here. Now I'm graduating, and the Virgo energy is going to help you realistically apply the energies and also be aware of what you can handle and what you cannot. And so with Mercury and Mars in Virgo, there is a focus on the details, the particulars, the little nuances. And then on August 22nd, the Sun enters Virgo. So with Mercury, Mars, and the Sun in Virgo together, we have a lot of Virgo energy, and we're looking to ground it. We're looking to be clear. And one thing that Virgo is learning throughout its life is not to do too much, not to overextend, and to have realistic expectations. Because the Virgo energy really wants something to be the best it can be. Is it good enough? Is it perfect? Do you like it? Am I helping you enough? Am I doing enough work? How can I be of more service? There's this beautiful willingness with Virgo that steps up to the plate, especially with Mars and Virgo. It steps forward and says, I can help you with that. I can take care of that. Let's try this. Let's do this. I've got a plan. However, the Virgo energy is learning to also be compassionate with itself and to remember you're only human and you can only do so much and you don't have to do it all for other people. And that's one of the energies that Virgo is learning to manage because you want to be of service. You want to help. I want to heal the world. I want to help everyone. And it's that desire to be of service that can overextend you, where you're overgiving, overdoing, over-providing, and to the extent that you're depleted, you wear yourself out, you don't have much coming back in that supports you. There can be a bitterness. There can be a sense of you've just run out of energy and then you don't want to do anymore. And then maybe that gets the self-critical energy going or the worry or the guilt. So with Virgo, you're learning to be very clear around your expectations of yourself and to give yourself compassion and to honor where you're not responsible for doing everything for everyone. And even though you have that willingness and that sense of purpose to support, it's okay to step back and say, you know, I'm at capacity right now. Let's check back in on this in a week. Or, you know, I just don't think I can take one more thing. I would love to help you, but here's someone else who maybe is a better fit. Or here's someone else who could possibly get you through this problem or this issue. So that Virgo energy is learning where the boundaries are and honoring them so that you can really be clear on what you're also giving to yourself, on what you're providing for yourself, how you're being of service to yourself, and letting yourself off the hook, letting that be enough. That is good enough. That is perfect. Because the Virgo energy has expectations of self that are very precise and perhaps all about that perfectionistic ideal, or I could do this so well. And yes, you can. You can excel at many things. That Virgo energy is designed for success, but you're adjusting what that looks like so that it doesn't have to only be one thing or one outcome or one way that it shows up. So we have these strong Virgo energies that want us to be better, want us to be helpful and to step forward, but you can only do so much in a day. So allow that to be okay. Give yourself a break, let yourself off the hook, don't push yourself too hard, and look at where you can be easier on yourself as needed. Now, these energies apply to the collective, but you will feel them or sense them more personally when you have planets or points in Virgo. And this can be just something you're aware of, something that you need to manage. I have people in my life that I love dearly who are Virgos, and I know this is something that they've been working through most of their life. So it's just something that you're aware of and that you're able to have a more compassionate and kind mindset for yourself. However, on that note, we can get a lot done right now. As long as it's realistic, as long as you have the physical energy for it, you have the mental focus for it, there's a sense of things moving ahead right now, and that you can just knock things off your to-do list and really get a sense of you're taking care of business and you're moving things forward, but in a reasonable way. Now, part of this progress that we're able to make, as well as the movement forward into new directions, comes from the personal planet of Mercury and Mars, both making trines to Uranus in Taurus. And this is where, aha, you've got it. You got the answer. You got the solution. You know what you're going to do. The plan is clear. This is also part of the energy right now that's supporting us into these new manifestations, into these new pathways where something just clicked. And it feels very strong. It feels very real as well, because these energies are in the earth signs, which is about our tangible life experiences. It's about things connecting and showing up that we can see, touch, that's in our environment. So on August 20th, Mercury in Virgo trines Uranus, and then on August 21st, Mars in Virgo trines Uranus retrograde. These are happening at 14, about 15 degrees of Taurus, and that is the energy that's new as well. Uranus is in new territory. That means new openings, new breakthroughs, new revelations, new understandings. You get the picture. There's a lot here that we're stepping into new parts of our life. Ready or not, it's happening. And if you feel like you're dragging your heels or you're feeling a little tentative, I don't know, almost like you take one step forward and then you go back into a comfort zone, what's going to happen is the universe is going to push you forward because you're needed in these new spaces, these new directions, these new possibilities. So there will be a push, even if a part of you is hesitant. It's also looking at your own trust in new developments and how you trust God, Source, Spirit, the universe to support you, even when your mind can go into all these other things that you don't want to happen. This energy is bigger than our minds. So your mind is going to say, oh, but what about this? Or, oh, I don't have the answer around this. Or, oh, I don't have information. Or there's something that the mind is going to create. Perhaps it's going to create a story. It's going to go into a narrative. Mercury in Virgo is looking for the specifics, the details, and a sense of certainty. Is this going to work? And then Mercury in Virgo can stir up the narrative on why it's not going to work. But this is where we can manage the mind, step back, be the observer. And it's part of that human experience where sometimes the mind just has to go through something and go through a story, create a narrative, and then you go into a higher observation mode or a place of higher consciousness and understand that this is a bigger energy than just what we're thinking about. The universe is moving us forward for a reason. And we might not see that reason just yet. We might not have the physical evidence just yet, but that's where it can be exciting. That's where you can have a sense of wonder, a sense of, oh, I wonder what's going to show up. Or, wow, this could be really interesting. Or, oh, look, we're in some new energy here. This is fascinating. What have we got? What's coming through? What's going on here? So you're invited to maintain a sense of wonder and trust, a sense of possibilities and feeling that you're safe even with the unknowns, and that the universe is giving us many messages over this next week to move forward. And that's one thing we look at in astrology, is we look at what are the repeating themes? What is emerging here that's a dominant message? And it's showing up very strongly that we're moving into new terrain and we're leaving behind what we've outgrown. So forward moving energies, accelerations, fast progress. I even feel like things can click really quickly, almost overnight, almost like, wow, that came together fast. Things that you couldn't plan can come together fast. So that's part of the excitement. It also feels very magical. I'm seeing a lot of these really beautiful energies. They're very much about the light codes, and it's very green, which would relate to, of course, the earth and the natural world. But I'm feeling this green energy as very bright and sparkly. I feel like it does relate to also new energies in our hearts expanding And if you listen to this podcast regularly, then it was just last week or the week before that I was talking about how our energy vessels are expanding so that we can hold more. We can hold more light. We can hold more trust and faith in ourselves. And I feel like these energies are reprogramming our hearts and working with us in a personal way around higher love frequencies, a higher love of self, higher acceptance of self. And I feel like this relates to other energies being over. And if you feel like you've completed some karmic patterns and karmic cycles, this is part of your expansion, where now you're calling in new people, new energies, new love, new friendships, new. It just feels very new and fresh. And it feels like it's been part of this changeover that we've been moving through. I think that a lot of the new came through that Leo new moon Lionsgate portal that we've been talking about a lot. And this is the manifestations of that. And we manifest in the physical world. We manifest in all areas of our energies. But with the strong earth energies at this time, the strong Virgo, and then Uranus and Taurus, plus we have, of course, Pluto in Capricorn, things are showing up now. There's manifestations in the physical world, and it's a beautiful time to receive them, to allow them, to have a willingness for these new parts of your life to open up and be experienced now. I also feel heart healing that is very deep. And if you've been moving through some big relationship themes or family themes, if there's been a lot that even you've been stuck, like if you've been stuck against a rock in a hard place, or if you've been stuck, I feel this dissolving. It's dissolving, and there's something that the universe is saying that you're aware of at some level of your being. You're aware that this can't go any further. It's a stagnant, stuck energy that's dissolving and being removed as these new energies come in that are very healing, that have a higher frequency, a higher vibration. They're very loving. It's very kind energy. It has this kindness to it that is also about our own self-acceptance. It has to do with just the humility of being human at times. We get things wrong, or we don't see things clearly, or we're in these lessons, or we're in these loops, and there's things that, finally we realize and finally we understand. So if you can have some compassion for yourself and kindness for yourself, there's a shift. And I feel it's really interesting. I feel like for some people, these blocks you've had maybe in your heart for lifetimes, and they've become a comfort zone, or they become something that you just accepted as normal. And I'm feeling like these blocks are dissolving, and there is this beautiful healing light that's supporting this process. And so definitely trust that for yourself if this resonates. You may be feeling like your body is needing specific types of support, specific types of healing energies at this time. So definitely trust that. But I feel like there is beautiful energy here as we move into Virgo season. Now I'm going to jump back here in the dates that I gave you and talk about August 19th, because we talked about how that is the day when Uranus stations retrograde, but because it's an outer planet and it moves so slow, the energies are in effect typically 2 weeks before and 2 weeks after. So we've been feeling this vibration of Uranus stationing retrograde. And then on the same day, we're going to have the Sun in Leo oppose Jupiter retrograde in Aquarius at 27 degrees. And this opposition is going to make something really clear to you. This goes back to what I was talking about at the start of the episode around something being revealed, a big illumination, something coming through that I feel is significant at a soul level. I feel like there's blasts of wisdom coming through from your soul around something that you're ready to see, to own, to embrace, and to love. And because it feels quite big, I think it pertains to some patterns across multiple lifetimes, some things you've been working through across multiple lifetimes, and now there's a shift. Now there's something that you're really changing that feels quite beautiful. I have a separate video for you on YouTube about the Aquarius full moon at 29 degrees. And in that video, I also talk about the air grand trine that's happening. And that air grand trine is between Venus in Libra, Saturn retrograde in Aquarius, and then the North Node in Gemini. And a grand trine is essentially a triangle of energy where 3 different planets and points are in a supportive conversation. And in the air signs, this is about connections, ideas, projects, conversations, things that you're ready to discuss or share. This energy is grounded and clear because Saturn is there. Venus in Libra wants us to be happy. She wants everyone to be happy. She is looking for the win-wins. And then that North Node in Gemini is about understanding the story, the information, asking questions, and remaining open, remaining curious. So with this grand trine, we have opportunities now over the next week to have very beneficial conversations, to make things clear. This is wonderful for signing contracts. This is excellent for making agreements. This can be great for decisions that you're clear on, that you're ready to say yes. There's something here that is going to flow and open up. The energy is most active between 6 and 8 degrees of the air signs, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, and there's a flow here. So there's something again over this next week. It also has that yes energy. It has that sense of you're making something real. It feels like there could be very beneficial conversations, and that can pertain to work. That could pertain to someone who's in charge, an elder, a parent. That's because of the Saturn energy that represents someone with more maturity and responsibility. If you're thinking of asking for a raise, or you want to renegotiate a contract, or you're looking to have an important discussion with somebody, over this next week, you could have some openings here and things could really click. This is also good for financial matters because of Venus in Libra. So this energy is already happening. It's already in effect, and it's going to be working with us until about August 24th. Now, on the 24th, that Mercury in Virgo opposes Neptune in Pisces retrograde at 22 degrees. And that is when we have to let something go. When there's a sense of what you planned, what you put time and energy into is changing shape. It's changing into a different form. Now, this can feel like a disappointment because of what you've invested or what you've done to make something happen. When Mercury in Virgo opposes that Neptune in Pisces is the bigger energy, and it also dissolves. It also removes. And that's where we can feel the disappointment of, oh, but I had counted on this. I had put all this effort into something, and it's mental effort. And then Neptune says, now we're going to do something different. Please release. Please let this go, because we're going to recreate it in a different form. We're going to have something else show up. This is where the energies can elevate you, but it's requiring some kind of mental release. So this goes back to what I was saying too about having compassion for yourself and letting yourself off the hook if something doesn't go exactly as planned around August 24th. If it doesn't happen exactly as planned, something's going to happen a few days after, because Mercury in Virgo is then going to trine Pluto in Capricorn, and that's going to be the yes. And there's going to be power and force and clarity and something better coming through. And it only happens a few days after you have to let go. So just know that the things that are occupying your mind are probably going to need to be released. It's almost like don't give too much importance to all the stories. This could be to being self-critical, to being hard on yourself, to having unrealistic self-expectations. Because I feel like what we're learning through this Mercury in Virgo is the mindfulness and to not be overly attached to the mind and what it creates. And when we can allow those voids, that's another way to look at this around August 24th, is that there could be a void where something's taken away, but then the universe is going to bring in something better as Mercury trines Pluto. So part of our trust, ongoing trusting experience, is that we don't always know what that next form or shape is going to be, but that's where we go to our higher selves. We exhale, we just lean back in the chair and say, I can't wait to see what shows up next. It's going to be even better. I'm going to love it even more. Bring it on. So overall, there's a lot of movement this week. It's very dynamic. There's acceleration, but there's a lot of yes energy. So stay open to what you're ready to say yes for. Stay open to the divine timing of it all, to the surprises, the shocks, the revelations. It feels positive and invigorating, and it also feels like it's a big part of our current growth where we're expanding. Our hearts are expanding, our minds are expanding, and we're really stepping into more of what we're ready to manifest and experience now. So I truly hope you have some beautiful experiences over this next week as we move more into these Virgo energies. Of course, we will keep talking about them in the weeks to come, but also keep in mind that we're moving through bigger cycles that pertain to where you're graduating, where you're completing something at a very deep soul level, and where you are being set free. That's another way to look at this energy. You're being set free. So where are you going to fly to next? Where are you going to land next? As always, thank you so much for joining me for this podcast. I do it every Wednesday and Monday, and I hope that this information supports you and is beneficial. You can find out more about me over at mollymccord.online, where you'll find more about my 10 books, my various business development courses and programs, and more about astrology, where you can learn more about your own astrological chart. I'm wishing you beautiful developments and manifestations for this Aquarius full moon, and please check out that video on YouTube that discusses more of the chart. And also, I have released new videos on specific astrological aspects in various years. For those of you who follow me on YouTube, I've been going through numerous years of birth that hold big astrology information in your natal chart. So please check that out because it can help you understand your own natal astrology chart even more and some of the big themes that you're working through in this lifetime. So as always, thank you for joining me, friends. I'll see you back here every Monday and Wednesday. Have a beautiful week ahead, and I hope you receive some wonderful surprises as we move through this current cycle.